Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to RimWorld Ye Olde Knights, where this episode, of course, begins where last episode left off, just after we had finally crowned George, our true monarch of these lands. These very dreary lands, I might add. It seems as though it does nothing but rain here. But never mind how dreary it is here, we all love our beautiful, rainy, foggy, soggy home. The alpaca in these mountains were plump and just ripe for the hunting, and then their fertile lands make great soil for growing rice and whatnot that we could just turn into a nice weak stew. And speaking of rice stew, apparently these weak stews that we are creating actually give everyone a +2 mood buff somehow, which is just wonderful. Even though our nobles really loved a good weak stew, they absolutely hated eating without a table, so the first thing that we began doing today was building some tables and chairs for a nice hall. Now there would be no more of that pesky ate without a table debuff. The Duchess that we enslaved last episode decided to openly rebel against us, so with a few quick swings of the mace, she was taken care of. We scooped her right up out of the mud and took her straight back to her bed. Some of our knights had been hunting some gazelle in the area, and one of them decided to mount a head onto a plank and give it to the king as a gift. It was quite a sweet sentiment, really. I'll be honest with you, and it would appear the king and his lover as well, were big fans of that mounted gazelle head. It was beautiful. No, for real, it had a crazy beauty rating. Sometime later we began digging into the mountain. We decided it would finally be time to start building some bedrooms for all our nobles. Sometime after that we had some traders who actually came with some very odd looking weaponry, some type of advanced technology possibly. We were unsure as to what they were carrying, so we didn't really mess with them. We also decided to get a head start on some warm clothes for winter. Most of our nobles didn't even have boots or gloves for winter, so we began making some of those out of cloth. Unfortunately for us, though, winter would be the least of our worries. It would appear we were being raided by 2 heavily armed soldiers coming to save their precious little duchess. I thought our murder hallway and our traps that were inside the murder hallway would be enough to subdue both gentlemen, but unfortunately I was incorrect. One of the heavily armed gentlemen with some type of sorcery bubble around him made it out of the murder hallway, so we began firing upon him. And then just like that, the other soldier used some type of odd weaponry to attack us. But there would be no time for confusion. We had to get in there and quickly subdue him, and after we did so, he turned into an acidic puddle on the ground. Very odd. Thankfully, the wounds that our nobles sustained would not be fatal, and they were merely nothing but flesh wounds. To celebrate our triumphant victory over these strange foes, we decided to have a drum party and get in there and dance our little butts off. And so we did. Now this attack, though, from our sorceress and very advanced foes made me think to myself that we need better defenses, so we began working on some embrasures, some barricades, and some better traps. But speaking of our advanced foes, one of them actually called us from nearby, stating he would like to desert their empire and join us here. We offered him refuge, but we did hesitate as he could be very dangerous. Of course, though, shortly after the deserter actually joined us here, 2 heavily armed soldiers came into our territory to attempt to track him down. We were very much prepared to defend our new friend here, but fortunately for us, our traps actually subdued one of these soldiers, and the other coward that was with him decided to retreat. We immediately put the deserter to work in exchange for him being allowed to stay here and being part of our kingdom. He also began sharing secrets with us about that this technology is not sorcery at all, but just merely more advanced technology than what we currently have. To celebrate the courageous actions of our new friend the deserter, as well as the new union and bond that he will have with us in our new empire that we're building, we decided to throw a party. And that party was a banger, let me tell you. But of course, after the party was finished and we were done gawking at the stranger and his mystical technologies that we did not understand, we began working on our bedrooms and our hallways and whatnot with some wood flooring, and yeah, you kind of get the gist with that. We essentially just wanted to beautify the place. What is a king without a beautiful kingdom to go along with him and his royal subjects? Even our enslaved Duchess chipped in and helped out some. I mean, against her will, of course, but she did, she helped. And of course, after some time, we finally had taken down all the tents that we had built originally when we began staying in this land. Our community tent was the last to go, and it truly marked the end of an era. I seen a grizzly bear out in the woods, and I pondered on having our deserter friend go out and kill him to prove his worth to us. But lucky for me, we were actually being raided by a group of outlanders, so our new deserter friend would be able to prove himself in combat against them. As the group of outlander raiders came closer and closer to our keep, we all gathered around our embrasures with our crossbows, and the deserter, of course, with his mystical rifle. The foolish outlanders, of course, falling for many of our traps, began walking down our murder hallway where they wouldn't even make it to the end before they began fleeing, like the cowards that they truly were. Unfortunately for the outlanders, though, I could not allow this. They could be cowards and run away, but the deserter, he still needed to prove his loyalty to our empire and to our faction. As the two remaining outlanders began to flee the murder hallway, George and the deserter made their ways for the wall. George stood there with his crossbow, but did not fire at all. He simply watched the deserter to see if he would actually defend his new home. And the deserter did not let us down. He proved his loyalty by killing one of the outlanders. So I suppose the deserter was and still truly is worthy of becoming one of us and becoming one with our kingdom that we will be building from the ground up. But people, I am going to go ahead and call this episode 2 of our RimWorld Ye Olde Knights series. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate the support on the channel and on this series. You guys are absolutely wonderful, as per usual, as always. I hope to see you guys in the next one, though, and I will see you then. Have a good day. Goodbye.